Welcome to the Wingman Show. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown. My wingman, the guy who watches my six all the time, is Dr. Paul Thompson. How are you, Dr. Paul?
I'm very good today, Mr. Drew. How are you? I feel very, very good. I'm energized, elevated. It's still dark here. I'm still used to the sun being up in the summertime, but it's I think we change the clocks tomorrow night or tonight.
I think we do. And I'll tell you what, I'm on my 14th day of Magic Mind. I really am a lot more focused.
How you doing?
We'll talk about Magic Mind here in a little while. What I do want to start off with is that badass jet behind me. So anybody watching on YouTube, you can look at that jet. It's an A4 Mike. Dr. Paul and I flew TA4s, so it was the same airplane, just we had a backseater. The instructor taught us how to fly in the very beginning, but then we flew it by ourselves. But that's an A4 Mike behind me. And that thing I think it has two guns. It can shoot rockets. It can drop bombs. It could drop Mark 82s that Dr. Paul and I dropped. We were talking about dropping bombs. Those are 500-pound bombs. It has 1,000-mile range. No, I'm sorry, 2,000-mile range. And it can go 1,040 miles an hour. But the baddest thing about this jet, and Dr. Paul can attest to this, we both could roll this jet twice over in 1 second. It would go 720 degrees a second. You remember that, Paul?
Yeah. It would cage your eyeballs.
Cage your eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I'm looking behind you, Dr. Paul, and I have a story before you get into your jets.
Okay.
Yesterday, I went to Costco. And, that's the one near the air show is going to be tomorrow.
Yep.
And God dang it, the Blues were practicing.
Good.
Dr. Paul, I got to tell you something. I screamed. I stood outside and that badass F-18 came by so goddamn fast. I screamed and tears came into my eyes. Listen to me. I remember doing that. And for some reason, for the first time, I missed it. I missed smoking like that. And this badass jet was smoking. And remember, we used to live near the base and we would always hear those jet engines. Yeah. And I missed that sound. And I always called it the sound of freedom when I could hear those jets go. But they look beautiful. And really, honest to God, Dr. Paul, I wanted to tell you this. A tear came to my eye. And that's never happened before. But I screamed and yelled, go, go. They were looking at me in the parking lot. I was crazy. But anyway, tell me about those Blue Angels.
Well, they thought you were crazy, and they were half right. Thing is,
that's not nice.
Well,
they were all right. I am crazy. I'm doing this show for you.
Okay, I agree. I take that as a compliment. But they were flying low, and you could fly low like that, and not get in trouble.
What kind of planes were they, though?
They were F-18s. Those are Super Hornets, like the ones behind me. It's funny you talk about the Great Georgia Airshow. It's actually today. Here and tomorrow. I was going to go today, but I can't go today. Reason being, not because we're doing this, but the tickets were sold out. You got to buy tickets. So I had to buy tickets. They sold out. I got the general. Air
shows are free. They're advertising for the U.S. Navy. That's why the Blue Angels came to fruition.
Well, if you want to park your car there, basically I'm going to take my grandson. It's going to run us a little over $100.
What?
$101 and something cents. I did it. Okay, fine. I couldn't buy it for today. It's sold out. Everything's sold out. Cheap seat. You could spend like 6 times that for 2 people. Okay, fine. I'll go tomorrow. We'll enjoy it. Hopefully the weather's good. Sometimes it's great when you saw a practice. They come in town and they get their checkpoints. Sometimes the practice may be better than the show. I watched him do one.
I got a free show then.
You did. Yeah. You got a free show.
So wait a minute. You said you can spend more than $100 for this?
Yeah, I got the general admission ticket. There are like 3 levels of ticket. And if you want to sit on the flight line, it's 200. I think they include parking. It's $200 per person. No, $199 per person. $199 per person.
That's a lot what we were talking about, Dr. Paul, how the prices have changed.
Yeah.
But this one went from free to 100.
Yeah, just for 2 people. So it was just be 53 something. So
amazing.
Give you a little discount if you get another person in it. They got to make money. But they're flying the Super Hornet. A little more performance in the airplane behind you. The Blues got the Super Hornets last year. It's like the regular F-18 Hornet The engine's a little more powerful. The avionics are different. So it's supposed to be a louder show. So you probably heard a lot more noise yesterday than normal. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think they were as loud as our jets or the carrier, to be honest with you. They actually piped them down.
They probably did.
Because of noise pollution.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were smoking, Dr. Paul. I mean, I got chills all through me. And for everybody out there, if you want to watch our show, watch us on YouTube. And I want to say hello to all our frequent flyers. That's the people who keep listening to us. Please, if you're new, become a frequent flyer. Start listening and watching us. And you can always write a nice review if you like us on Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate that. I want to do a couple shout outs here, Dr. Paul. Okay. The first one, he's a neighbor of yours, and he was my roommate on the U.S.S. Nimitz. I was his roommate, I should say. And that's Commander Welch Fair and his wife, Yvonne. But Welchie is still one of my greatest friends. And he wrote us and told us what happiness this show brought him. And I can't tell you how much it meant to me for Commander Welch Fair to say he liked what we were doing.
That's great. Yeah, Welchie is very, very dear, sweet person, always a good attitude, always says good things about you. Usually there's always a smile on his face. He's got a lot of Drew Brown stories, and you probably have to pay him some money to keep him quiet or whatever. You
want to know, Dr. Paul, I swear, I bet you he got more stories about me than I have about me.
It's probably true.
I forgot him. Yeah. But this is another shout out, and I want you to do this one, Dr. Paul. This is the most amazing story, and we just found out about it. And it's about one of the actresses we know so well, and it's Julia Roberts. And I'm going to leave it right there and let you take over, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, life is funny sometimes. People say it's a small world and we're interconnected in ways we wouldn't imagine. But most people probably know who Julia Roberts is. I saw her first in the movie Pretty Woman with Richard Gere.
Yes.
Good movie, good romantic comedy. I think it might be the top grossing romantic comedy of all time or something like that, holds some kind of record. And she went from making, a little bit of money from that to being the highest paid actress in Hollywood for a long time. But the strange thing about her was that she was from Smyrna, Georgia, not that far from
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, somewhere in Atlanta, just a suburb of Atlanta, a little bit north on 285 or whatever. And I didn't know that she had a relationship with none other than Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Now, how did that happen?
What?
Yeah. What it was that her parents, mother and father, ran a theatrical company. And there were all kinds of people that would join. One day that Coretta Scott King, the wife of Martin Luther King, called up Julia Roberts' parents, who I forget their first names, and asked them if their kids could be part of this youth theater group. And at the time, their parents were the only ones in Atlanta that had a school that would allow Black children to attend. So she asked if her kids would come, and to Coretta Scott King, they told her, yeah, sure. So they brought them, they became friends. I believe the child still living, Yolanda King, was a student there.
Yes.
And long story short, this happened at a time when the mother was pregnant with who would be Julia Roberts, and they didn't have much money, or they were out of money.
They didn't have enough money for the hospital bill to have.
Yeah, they didn't have enough money. So Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King paid the hospital bill for the person who became Julia Roberts.
How about that?
That's funny. As you said,
Paul, why didn't we know about this? You see, this is not Black history. This is history. All of this history we should know. This takes away all that racism and all that garbage. This is a good story. Why don't we get to hear things like this? You and I are too old to just have heard about this story now.
That's true. But the good thing is we're putting it out there. So whoever's listening, they may put it out to somebody else. So, it's a little bit delayed, but it's true.
Great, great, great story. I don't know what to say about that. I'm just so happy that we were able, we have to dig deep for these good stories,
I mean, it's funny, just even mentioning her, it's related to something else. Because when I think of her, I kind of think of Richard Gere, and I think of Richard Gere. I'm with
Officer and a Gentleman,
and Lou Gossett, and he's doing push-ups in the water, and Lou Gossett gets down there with his uniform, which he would never do, but it's in the movie and in the mud. What are you here for? It's funny how the mind.
I want to fly jets.
Yeah, my grandmama wants to fly jets. Great line, probably true too.
Well, Dr. Paul, we're also here to give some information because we believe in financial freedom. We really do. I know if you have enough money to take care of yourself and your family, life is a lot easier, and there's a way to do it. But in our newsletter, you're going to write up a little kind of fact what recession is, because everybody's talking about a recession now. Well, let me give you a layman's term what a recession is. It means everybody's not spending as much money as they should be spending. And so the feds, what they do is they raise interest rates. And when people raise interest rates, people don't buy as much. And when people don't buy as much, then the companies that are selling something lower their prices. And that's how they're supposed to stop inflation. But Dr. Paul and I, the Wingman Show, we have another fight against recession. We have another fight for inflation, and it's to take your ass and make more money. Find a way to make more money. Don't let a recession, don't let somebody's job stop you from doing what you want to do. Maybe it's time now to rethink of getting that education you wanted. Right. Maybe it's now time to think of one of those hobbies you like, maybe making a business out of it. But it's very important that you can articulate and you're educated, and not just educated with a piece of paper. Knowledge. You have to have knowledge, and you have to be able to articulate it. And the one thing you want to sell yourself always is as an asset and not a liability. But when there's a recession, find a way to make more money. Find a way to make more money. And one thing that we both know is everybody else out there can do it. Whoever can hear my voice, you guys can do it too. What do you think about a recession, Paul?
Well, yeah, it's part of the business cycle, two successful quarters, 6 months, things go down. It may last for, a few months, could be a year, could be longer. Not in just in this country, but others too. The thing is that what you really shouldn't do, none of us should do, is just concentrate on the news, get depressed, drop your head and say, oh, well, woe is me. Turn off get active, get busy. Like I said, get study and do something. Start on something, or get ready for the upcoming recession, even if it doesn't happen, even if there is no recession.
Well, rich people, a recession doesn't bother them at all. No. Rich people, inflation doesn't bother them at all. I want to get our listeners to get to that point where they're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, rich people do fine. They just spending my money quietly. Don't stop.
You're going to write up something in the newsletter about that too, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, something simple. Yep.
Very good. Well, Dr. Paul, I know how to make more money.
Tell me. I'm right. I got my pen.
Please write this down. You and we're going to sell an app to the U.S. government because I think they're the only ones who can do it. It's called the Wingman App. Right now, we're about to vote for governor and senator and all these other political positions. Now, what I see on television are all these ads. I'm getting texts with all these ads. I'm getting emails. I'm damn near even getting phone calls and letters in the mail. So many that they're disgusting. And one of the things about the ads, they always make you feel bad about a recession. Blame the other guy. It's almost like when you cast your vote, that means if you cast it for the other guy, all of a sudden your bank account grows. No. That's not true. Not one president has my life changed. And I've been through Republican, Democrat. Nothing changes other than when I bust my ass and work hard for something. That's when something changes. But how about this app? As soon as you vote, you have a little app on your phone. Wherever you vote, they put in a little number, and all of a sudden, you don't get any more TV ads. You don't get any more mail advertising politicians. You don't get any more texts. You don't get any more emails. It's called the Wingman App. As soon as you vote, all the advertising stops. It would save the government money because they wouldn't have to advertise as much. They wouldn't have to spend that much. They wouldn't have to spend that much on postage. And I know this is a great idea, and you're shaking your head because, it might not happen. But we came up with the idea. And that's what you do during a recession. Come up with ideas. And guess what? If they don't work, get another idea. What do you think about our app, Dr. Paul?
This is good because you're basically you're putting your money where your mouth is, because you're talking about an app, you talk about a recession, and I think we should charge a little bit for it. So that'll be a little bit of income there too, like maybe dollars. Yeah, for $1.99, $2 or whatever, it could be yours. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. $1.99. I think that's reasonable.
All right, well, we're going to call up somebody and see if they can make this app. I love it, though. I think it's the best idea we came up with. I'm not kidding. Well, our old company, FedEx, and we both flew 777s. You flew the MD-11. I flew the DC-10. We both flew 727s. I flew the Airbus. Did you fly the Airbus?
For a year.
Yes, so we both flew Airbus. But one of the things that we noticed when we were flying, we took very precious cargo all around the world. I remember taking Formula One cars. I remember taking Kentucky Derby horses. I remember taking Arabian horses, very expensive $1 million horses in the jet, flying them all over the world. Well, guess what FedEx just did? They just flew 12 Monarch butterflies to Mexico because this certain type of butterfly is going to be extinct. And this couple found these 12 cocoons, and they're going to FedEx them down to Mexico so they can flourish, they can become alive, become butterflies, and monarchs will be free again in our world because of FedEx.
Well, that's a very nice thing. The monarch butterfly, I never really thought about butterflies much, but they're so brightly colored, you know them when you see them. They're an endangered species. Didn't know that, from climate change and all these forest fires burning. And they migrate from Canada, North America, down to Mexico, maybe California.
Well, there's a couple who's doing this. And how much did the shipping cost?
They said like $163. It's going to be more after January 1st because everybody's raising their rates. I saw that. I got it on my computer. I do little stuff with them. But
I hope they don't raise them too high, then maybe the butterflies wouldn't have got sent.
Well, it's a small world. I don't know. They're going to I think they have to make it. They're making a stop in South Texas.
Yes.
I'm going to guess it's Harlingen. I used to fly to Harlingen, a little south of Kingsville, where I used to live and learn to fly. Again, it's a small world. But
those monarch butterflies are beautiful. And they have a lot to do with us, remember? Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. It made my daddy Satan so famous, those monarch butterflies, because whenever you say float like a butterfly, usually when they put up a butterfly, it's one of those beautiful.
It's a monarch. And they don't hit anybody.
No. Well, Dr. Paul, I'm kind of fired up this morning, and I don't know if it's from that magic mind or not. But today's day 14. And let me just give you a little update on how I'm feeling. I really am laser focused. And I'm getting more stuff done in less time, it seems. And like I said before, it's not a high, it's not a caffeine rush, but it looks like my mind is clearer. And and for this show, I had 4 or 5 certain things come up this morning I wanted to do with the show. But I do believe that magic mind is working, and I'm very happy with it. And my son, Dr. Brown, he's made another order. And if my little boy, little Drew, will take magic mind because he's much smarter than I am, then I know it's good for you. So I'm really happy with our sponsor. And guess what, Dr. Paul? Remember we were running out? Well, Magic Mind's customer service seems great because we got it just in time to complete this 30-day trial that we're going to do. So I'm on day 15 right now. What do you think about it, Doc?
Yeah, same thing. I'm on day 15 too. Yeah, my package for the remainder came yesterday morning. Yeah, I'm more laser focused too. Yesterday was very, very, very busy for me. Very, very busy. But I got everything done. I was tired at the end of it, but I probably did about 25, 30% more than normal, given the stress and strain of the moment. And I'm satisfied with it too. I think it has helped me. The focus
Well,
is
help
better.
me, and I can't wait to take 2 more weeks of it.
No.
And next week we'll report on 21 days.
Right.
But anybody who would like Magic Mind, we have a special code we're going to give you, Wingman 14, and that'll get you up to 40% off on this stuff. It's all natural. There are 12 substances in it. There's nothing artificial in it. It is really, really helping me, Doc.
Yeah, and the taste is good. The taste is a little bit strong if you're not used to a greenish juice, but it's not bad. It goes away in a couple of seconds. It's just not bad at all.
We had a lot of friends who ordered it, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a number of friends who ordered
code.
Yeah, mix it with a little lemon juice, and it's great. It's just a little bottle. It's just a shot, not even it's about 2/3 of a mouthful.
Well, I'm a little bit cheap, so I put a little water in that shot, shake it up to make sure I get all of it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, Magic Mind, Wingman 14. If you're interested in trying it with us, I'm enjoying it. And I promise you, Dr. Paul and I are not making any money off this right now. If anything, we're getting some free Magic Mind. But we're doing something because we think this will help our audience. And anything that can help our audience, we're going to put out there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's play a little game, Dr. Paul.
Okay.
This is the how much game. And I can't believe I'm going to say this date. And a lot of people, if you're younger than this, please don't just blow this off, because I promise you, one day you'll be doing the same thing. This is a game that I asked my mother to stop doing. And because I use the N word, and my N word is never. Mm-hmm. Anytime I say never, I wind up doing it. So I don't use the N word. But when I was little, I said, I'll never do this. My mother would take me to Nathan's, and we get a hot dog and French fries and some frog legs. My mother loved frog legs. But my mother would always say, this hot dog used to cost a nickel. And I was like, I'm sick of that, Mom. I'm sick of that. Well, I'll be danged if I don't do the same thing. I'll be danged. I remember when I went in Brighton Beach, we could get a slice and a Coke for 25 cents. And for some reason, I'm doing the same thing. But here's the game from 1970. How much do you think a brand new 1970 Ford Mustang cost?
Okay. Well, I got a 70 Ford Mustang. Let's see. I know what a 76 Chevy would cost. I'm going to reference that. Brand new 1970, let's say $6,500.
About half of that, $2,822.
Really?
And do you know what a new Mustang costs today?
About, let's see, I got a 60. It's probably 28,000, 29,000.
Are you cheating? Because it's 27,470. Or are you that smart? I think you're that smart.
Well, the one I bought was right at 20 grand. That was 2006.
All right, here's a bonus. How much is an electric brand new Ford Mustang?
$40,000.
$54,975. Okay, let's go to the greatest baseball team that ever played. 27 world championships, a Yankee box seat in 1970. What did that cost? A box seat, not the front, not right behind the batters, but a good box seat.
Box seat, probably $100.
$4. What does a box seat cost today? Now, remember, I said it's not the top seats. They're just box seats in the stands. One Yankee game, one ticket.
$200.
$265.
Okay, cool. That was good.
Last one, which is not cool, college tuition. In 1970, what was the average college tuition?
For a year, probably $900.
$1,674.
Okay.
And Dr. Paul, it's worth it if you have to do. I mean, you have to do it. You got to go to college, get a scholarship. If I were you out there, but how much does a college education cost now?
Average.
Wow,
that's kind of like how high is up. Let's say about for a year, $14,500 if that was an average.
Double, $29,033.
That's probably preschool now.
But now remember, here's a good thing. I always told people, if you're broke, you can go to school free. There are grants out there. There are scholarships out there. You can go to school for free if you work hard enough. You can go to some school and get a scholarship. That's for sure. Because everybody doesn't have $29,000 a year to get an education.
You might have something called the GI Bill if you are militarily inclined.
Well, you and I did something always since we joined the Navy. We had this thing called salary transparency, and we didn't even know it. But when we joined the Navy, we knew exactly how much everybody made. We knew exactly how much we were going to make. You and I even got flight pay, but it was danger when we were out at sea. We got a certain amount of extra money, but
hazardous duty pay, I think.
Hazardous duty pay, that's correct. And then when we got hired by FedEx, we knew exactly what everybody made because it's all by seniority in the airlines. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of jobs out here, Dr. Paul, that two people do the same job and one makes double, whether they're friends, whether they know somebody, whether they're good, whatever. They want salary transparency. What do you think about that?
I think that would probably benefit the worker and the employer, not so much, because you really can't BS people and say, like, how much does this one make? One of the things about, a government job or a union job, a lot of things are published. The negotiation's been done by your representatives versus these, individual jobs that, hey, just maybe I can convince you to take more, take less, maybe.
That's right. They can't lowball you now.
Yeah, right. You say, how much does such and such make? How much does a job pay? Well, it depends. Now you got to put it out there.
That's right.
So, how do I justify?
Dr. Paul?
Go.
It's time for Wingman ESA. From the 11 Facts in Life, fact number 7. Use common sense and moderation. Sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war, and time heals all. Common sense and moderation. That is a Wingman ESA.
That's an amazing one right there, because that could answer most of your problems right there.
Right.
Well, this magic mind, I'm really, really excited about using it. And I'm more excited about you telling me right now about the Wingman that we have for this week.
Well, the Wingman, behind me, you've got four Blue Angels. They're typically 6 that fly. Well, this Wingman basically was an angel, not a Blue Angel. And the Wingman didn't have a wing, really had a sail. This is about a gentleman named Cristiano Piquet. And he was you want to call it paraglider, paramotor enthusiast. It's like a paraglider.
That means it's a parachute and he has a motor on his back.
Motor, yeah. So
he can continuously fly, correct?
Yeah, he's flying. He's like, if you ever saw, like, it's an airboat, those airboats they have in Florida, and they're going along the surface. Well, he's doing the same thing in the air. He's got a little motor on the back, like a giant fan, and a parachute over him that keeps him up. And he's just flying. That was his thing to do on Sundays. He and a friend were doing this in Homestead, Florida. Beautiful day. He said it's something he does before going to church. And he's looking down in the kind of middle of nowhere, and he sees he's in over a canal, and he notices an alligator just kind of swimming. Okay, cool. And he looks a little farther down the canal, excuse me, and he sees a lady in the water, kind of clinging to a car. And he goes closer, and she's waving for help. She looks like she's in distress. And he lands. An interesting thing is this guy, he was wearing a body camera the whole time. He was wearing a body camera, and he had one position, and you can see him land. He and his friend landed, and they went over to this woman and said,
they were across the canal. Remember, they called over to that guy.
Yeah. They got the attention of a neighbor or somebody that lived near there.
Right.
And we'll show a picture of him, and he throws her a rope. And you saw, I guess they tie it around her wrist, and they pull her to the shore. She wasn't far in the water. She's on top of this car that's submerged, and he pulls her to the shore and lifts her up. And then they called, I guess, Miami-Dade Rescue, and they came, and she was okay. No problem with the alligators. And they sent divers down. I guess they cleared the area to make sure there's nobody else in the car. I'm not sure how she got there, but she was in the middle.
I read that she drove her car into the canal by mistake.
How do you do that? Well,
Well, I guess she took a left instead of a right.
I guess so. But I mean, I feel like she's way down there, looks disheveled, but she was okay. And had they not seen her, again, he saw her from the air. This is something you couldn't just see from a horizontal location. So, got help, had obviously a telephone, and use that modern technology to get help. And they show the rescue people there. But otherwise, she'd been, playing around with alligators in the water. She was kind of seemed like she was kind of out of it. She wasn't that far from the shore, but maybe she was injured. I don't know. She could have been injured and couldn't do it.
Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of people say, oh, what a coincidence. He was flying. And I will end the show with these words. Coincidence is a word for those who don't believe. I pray for peace, Dr. Paul.
I pray for peace, and I pray for good health.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming. Well,
thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.